Hi, ladies. Okay, so if you feel like you really, really want to change your life and actually move the needle, but you feel like everything that you're doing isn't actually helping make that happen, then this episode today is for you. I can't wait to talk about this. I'm going to go through the 4 key steps that you need to break the pattern and create those new habits that you need to actually make those changes. And it might not be what you think it is. Very often we miss out this very important step, and that is why change isn't happening. So, to start off with, I really want to just talk about the fact that your response is limited by your perception of your ability to do it. That is just so beautiful and profound. And it hit me when I first heard this with Jay Shetty when I did my certification with him. And how true is your response is limited by your perception of your ability to do it. Straight away, before we even get into the 4 steps of this process of change, we need to acknowledge, do we believe in the first place that we can even achieve it? Because if we don't, our brain isn't going to go through the exhaustive effort to get you there. So that's very often why you can be thinking about the change that you want to make, but you just know that you're not doing anything to really help that change happen, which feeds into that negative loop, that cycle that keeps feeding back to yourself, telling you that you're not good enough, that you can't do it, that you can't, so you don't. So I will be going through in our next episode about our negative self-beliefs. Again, I have an amazing strategy to help support you with that. But for now, let's just acknowledge that we have got some negative self-beliefs there, and they are usually rooted in fear. And before we can move forward, we do need to see what those fears are, and we have to acknowledge them and we have to hold them. By holding our fears and seeing them on paper and writing them out, we can develop a relationship with our fear, because actually they are just the internal messages coming up for parts of us that still need to heal. So I recommend listening to that episode to really help you if you feel like you're in that place. So let's say you have done that and you have acknowledged already that you have these fears, you know why you're holding yourself back. So often I just hear many people online talking about the why, and they're not actually helping you by providing you with steps that we must take to help us move forward. So today we're going to be going through all that. So let's talk about the 4 steps. In order to create a brand new habit of behavior, we have to understand that there is a 4-step process. We have our cue, the reason why we pick up that cigarette that we don't want to be doing if we're smoking. Whatever habit or thing it is that you want to change, whether it is to stop eating a certain food because you want to lose weight, we have a cue, which is very closely attached to our reward, which is actually the 4th step of the process. But the cue is the feeling that you believe you're going to experience. Or it could be something that sets you off. So let me explain that. Let's say you know that you're feeling very stressed, and maybe stress you believe is the reason why you're smoking. And you believe that by having the cigarette, you will feel relief. So there's a cue there. You're after a feeling of relief. Or perhaps with food, it could be comfort. You're after the feeling of comfort and security and feeling safe and just feeling happy. Hands up, I have always been that comfort eater. Okay. So there is a cue. Now, something that could trigger me, it could be stress, it could be a bad day, something's happened, it has triggered me, and I believe that I want to now comfort myself. So I will go and eat things that I perhaps shouldn't or don't want to be, because we don't like to use the word shouldn't. So there is a cue, and that's how this cycle starts. Then we move into the next phase, which is the craving. Because we are so used to behaving in a certain way, we then crave that feeling and that emotion again. We always want to feel happy and comforted. So we have a craving for the thing that we believe is helping us bring us this feeling. Then we have our response to that. Our response is Our response is doing the action, believing that we're now feeling happy and relaxed and less stressed and more comforted. And our response, if we go back, is limited by your perception of your ability to do something else. And sometimes we don't even know what that something else means. We just know, because it's been a habit for the last 20 years, that food is the answer to helping you feel comfortable and safe and happy. Your response is limited by your perception of your ability to do it and make those changes. And also, your perception is very, very limited if you don't even know if there are any other options out there that could help you. So, for example, in my business, I love sharing these lovely aromatherapy inhalers, because very often we can replace with something else. And if it is a craving, something like food or smoking, replacing with a beautiful scent that is actually a recipe that's going to help support with the habit of the feeling of craving, and the process of aromatherapy and how that gets directly into your brain, into the area that is helping you balance those chemicals and hormones, then this is a tool that you can help use to support you. And I love sharing that because, there are other options out there, but again, our perception is always limited. We don't know what those options are. We may have never experienced them. We haven't been introduced to them. We have never tried them. So it is even easier for the loop to start again with our habit and to just have that trigger and that cue, and off we go again. And this is why habits continue happening, and we can never actually break out of that cycle and change our lives, because we're stuck in the loop of steps 1 to 3. So far we've spoken about the cue, the craving, and the response. But there's another 4th step involved that I never hear anybody talking about. And we're going to talk about that now, because it's so important, because step 4 is part of this process and is one of the areas where we can break the cycle and create change. So step 4, why are we smoking? Why are we eating the food? Because of the reward. That's step 4, is the reward. The feeling that you get afterwards. Okay. Again, this is all connected to our emotions and the feelings that we're after. Our emotions can be the trigger, but the feeling that we want to have, the happiness, the joy, the relaxation, that's the reward. Okay. But this is where we can break that cycle. Very often, our rewards are completely wrong for us. What do I mean by that? If we are serious about creating huge change and transformation in our lives, we need to start choosing better rewards. We need to actually reward ourselves in the first place. Many people forget to even reward themselves for when they've stepped out and achieved something as a goal of theirs. So let's say, for example, stepping out and creating the podcast and these episodes and the videos for you has been a huge change and a huge like area of growth for me and my confidence and skill and ability that has taken me a year and a half to learn, to get better at, to improve. And the reward is, what's the reward for that? Do I reward myself? Do I then go afterwards when I finish this episode and congratulate myself on achieving something? Or do I just get up and carry on and now go and do the dishes because I've got other things to do in my life? Very often we do that. We just get up and we move on to the next thing. And as women, we are terrible for this. We are terrible at rewarding ourselves and acknowledging our amazing achievements, the small achievements, even if they're small, they are important and they matter. So if we don't have an amazing reward and we don't design a reward that actually motivates us to want to change our lives, we are just going to stay stuck in that same habit, in that same loop, which will keep us eating the crappy food, which will keep us smoking, keep us doing what it is that we don't want to do. And here is one habit that I feel is connected to this problem for real change in our lives, which is mindless multitasking. Mindless multitasking. Trying to do all the things, spinning all the plates, habitually going through them one by one, mindlessly, unable to be in the present moment, not focusing on one thing at a time so that you can find real joy in that activity. Because the feeling of accomplishment, the feeling of success comes when you can really truly say, hand on heart, I gave that 100% of my attention. Because here's the truth about humans. We love attention. So does everybody else in our lives around us, our loved ones. They crave acknowledgement, to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. Attention. We feel loved, we feel joy, we feel happiness when we receive that attention and that support, and when we give that attention and that support. So when we're going around our lives and we're mindlessly multitasking, we are not giving ourselves those things and those activities 100% of our focus and attention. As a working mum, I can tell you, and you will understand this if you are too, that when you're trying to run a business and you have a baby, which I do, 15 months, and a 7-year-old around you, and you're doing some work and you're saying to the kids, just a minute, babe, just a minute, babe. Yeah, in half an hour, just wait a minute. Mummy's just got to do this. Mummy's just a bit busy. I am multitasking. I am mindlessly multitasking. And that has become a really bad habit of mine. And to change that, I need to give each single thing 100% focus. So I can go away and I can do this amazing episode for you guys with 100% focus at the right time when I am not in mum mode. Because when I'm trying to do both, as I say, we're not going to feel joy, we're not going to feel accomplished, we're not going to experience that change that we really want for ourselves. If I was to give my sons, both of them, even just 10 minutes of 100% attention, that will provide them and me more love and energy and acknowledgement in those 10 minutes than an hour of me going, yeah, babe, yeah, babe, yeah, okay, oh, is that okay? Yep, okay. I mean, I could do that for 2 hours quite easily whilst I'm needing to do the dishes and cook the tea and write my book and do the video and do the podcast. And I'm like, and I am managing 2 children at the same time, mindlessly multitasking. But if I just stop and I put the technology away and I just give them 10 minutes, even just 10 minutes, You see their eyes light up, their smiles, the face, the energy, and that those 10 minutes mean more to them than those 2 hours of me trying to do it all. So I really wanted to talk about that specific habit because I feel sometimes we're so focused on the bad habit in our lives, whether it's the smoking or the eating or whatever it is that the not exercising as much as we should, that we forget about happiness. We forget about what actually brings us joy and that feeling of accomplishment in our lives. And I feel really strongly that if you can get that right and that bad habit fixed, often that has a great knock-on effect for the comfort eating and smoking and everything else you're doing because you're feeling happier, right? You're happier and you have more joy in your life. So therefore, it makes sense to really think about our presence. So mindless multitasking is a huge, huge bad habit that I think all of us can honestly hold our hands up and say, yeah, I could probably work on that. So how do we make that change? We need to change the reward. What is the reward that you are going to give yourself for being that amazing mum for 10 minutes? And it is not ridiculous to set yourself an amazing goal, a small goal, and a reward that's not a biscuit or a cigarette, but you get to, for example, have an evening bath all to yourself because your partner will take the kids off your hand and give you 3 hours to yourself because you have had a more productive, more focused, single task day and everybody's enjoyed themselves. That could be a reward for you. But very often we don't even know, if you ask yourself this question, what reward would I even give myself? I don't even know. So there is something to focus on. What rewards would you give yourself for these tiny little amazing changes that you're going to put forward in your life? And what could those rewards be? They don't have to be expensive. They don't have to be, well, if I do this thing, I'm going to go out and get a massage. I mean, you are more than welcome to come and have a lovely massage. I do that here, as you know, in my business, but that's expensive. You don't always have to provide yourself something that's going to cost money. What other small rewards will you get complete joy out of? And see if you can find the right one that will give you the motivation to change that habit and start doing something else. So that's something I'm currently working on myself, which is replacing the habit of mindless multitasking with focused single tasking. And when I have achieved that, and I know I've gone through my day and I have done that with all of my different responsibilities, that my partner will give me a couple of hours in the evening to myself where I can just do what I would like to do for me. And actually, right now in my life with baby, that would be amazing. And that is an amazing reward. And thank you very much. So that's going to work for me right now. So have a little think about what amazing rewards you could give yourself. And ladies, we need to celebrate the wins. So even if you've done it for a day, that's amazing. Share it into the community group. Create a community, belong and join a community where you can share those things. And that's what we do together in there. So if you're in there, I encourage you to share your ta-das. Because if we're keeping it all in and we're not celebrating ourselves at all, really, what's the point? And we have to then be radically responsible and ask ourselves, do we even really want the change? So I hope this has been really helpful for you and you can take away those golden nuggets and start putting those in place for yourself in your life. And I can't wait to come up next and talk to you. And we're going to be going deep on the negative beliefs. So take care and speak to you soon.